Hello, people of the interwebs. Today we're going to be cooking pork chops with a bacon apple sage sauce and a side of charred Brussels sprouts. I'm Chef Cash White, and I'm here because God delivered me from my circumstances and put me in a place where I'm able to share my love of food and cooking with you. Okay, today we're gonna start with some beautiful pork chops. The idea is we're gonna sear them, get a nice char on the outside, lock those juices in, and we're gonna put them in the oven and we're gonna get them to a nice medium. So before you get started, go ahead and preheat the oven to 400 degrees. First thing we're gonna do, we're gonna season the outside of these pork chops. Let's start with a little salt and pepper. Don't be shy with your seasoning. It's always a good thing to season well. You wanna taste that salt. You wanna taste that pepper. And we're gonna flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. Now that we have both sides seasoned, we're gonna move on over to the stove and we're gonna get a nice sear on those. Whenever you're gonna cook something on the stove and then transfer it into the oven to finish the cooking, one of the things you need to look for is make sure that it's an oven-safe pan. The true teller of that is whether or not it's a covered handle. This isn't a covered handle. So remember, it's gonna be hot in the oven, it's gonna get hot on the stove, so use a pot holder when dealing with this. I got about 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil here. We're gonna put it on there just to coat the pan, and we're gonna let it heat up until it has a beautiful shimmer on the top. All right, we got that beautiful shimmer right there on the oil. Let's get these things in there. All right, it's important to make sure that you've already got your oven to temp. And as soon as we flip these, we're gonna place them in the oven, and that's gonna continue the cooking process and get them cooked. With pork chops and pork loin, any kind of pork really, I like to cook it to a beautiful medium. It keeps it nice and juicy, but it also heats the core to about 155 degrees, but it keeps it from having any bacteria left over. Almost there. Do, 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 do. Trademark Sony Television. Hey, Alex Trebek. If you ever watch one of my videos, Alex, huge fan, I want to be on your show. All right, guys, this is what we're looking for. We want that nice, beautiful brown char on the outside. We're gonna flip it over. We're gonna turn off our gas. We're gonna put this bad boy right in the oven. All right, our pork chops are in the oven. Now we're gonna start getting our Brussels sprouts prepped. Brussels sprouts are awesome. They're like little baby cabbages, right? If you look right here, we have a little bit of the stem. We're gonna cut that off and we're gonna cut the bad boy in half. Just toss them in a bowl. We have our Brussels sprouts nice and prepped. 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil, just enough to coat. After you do that, toss it around, make sure that they're all covered. It's a process because you want the seasonings to stick to the Brussels, but not like just in one little area. We'll start with a little bit of salt. Salt liberally. A little bit of granulated garlic. Give it a toss. Get all those seasonings mixed up. We're gonna do a little bit of Italian seasoning and some fresh cracked black pepper. All right, now get our lined cookie sheet. We're gonna spread these out nice and evenly so it'll all get a little love. We're gonna put those in there with the pork in the 400 degree oven. Okay guys, we got a few minutes while that's in the oven, so I wanna share a little Bible verse that I've been studying today. Okay guys, we're gonna do James 1, verses 2 through 4, and it reads like this. Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness, and let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. Guys, I really like to reference this verse whenever I'm going through something very, very difficult in my life. One of the things that happens as we face these trials is we begin to lose our focus on God. We begin to trust Him less. And if we just take a second and refocus our efforts on God and understand that He is in control, we'll be fine. And if we listen to this, it tells us just that. It actually says that the trials of various kinds are there to test our faith. and it's going to produce steadfastness. That steadfastness is what's making us perfect and complete in God's eyes. So whenever we go through these trials and tribulations on a daily basis, guys, look towards the Lord. The Lord is the one who's in control. Just trust Him. I always find comfort in that. All right, guys, thank you for listening. We're gonna do a bacon, apple, and sage cream sauce to go on top of this pork. I'm gonna take about half a pound here, and I'm just gonna cut it into about 1-inch chunks. All right. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start cooking this bacon now on about medium-high heat, so that way it can get crisp, and then we're gonna add everything else to it. I wanna spread this bacon as much as we can onto the skillet. We don't need any oil in this because the bacon fat is actually gonna render and give us the lubrication we need on the pan. All right, now we're gonna cut up half an onion, quick dice. Now I'm going to take a Granny Smith apple. Whenever we cut this apple, cut the core out so we don't have any of the seeds in it. Then just dice it on up. The point here is to actually crisp up the bacon. It's going to take a little while. Take your time. Make sure you get it nice and crispy as we keep an eye on our pork. Yep. All right, guys, we're going for that perfect 155, 160 right there. We are good. Let's take this guy out. All right, we're going to let this pork rest now. Look at that. We got our bacon to a really good spot here. I'm going to go ahead and pull it off, and I've set up a little drain here on a plate with some paper towels. We're gonna drain that off. The good stuff on the bottom of the skillet there is just fine. We're gonna add 2 tablespoons of butter. Melt that down. All right, and we're gonna add our onions and our apples. All right here we're gonna add 2 teaspoons kosher salt, some fresh cracked black pepper. Toss it to get it nice and coated. We're gonna let those soften up just a little bit. If you have any big pieces like that, feel free to break them up before you get going. While we're waiting for our onions and apples to soften, I checked the Brussels sprouts and they look perfect. Get a nice little char on some of those. One of the things about Brussels sprouts is they're gonna be a little bitter. I like to add a little bit of lemon juice on top of them after I cook them like this. It's gonna give them a nice bright pop and really accentuate that freshness. Squeeze your lemon through your fingers so you don't get any seeds in it. Move it around a little bit. All right, let's give this a little toss. Oh wow, the sweetness and the tartness from the apples and the savory with the onions smells delicious. Now that our onions have started to be translucent on the edges a little bit, we're gonna add our sage. Okay, we're just gonna pick a few leaves of sage. We're gonna take it over there and tear it up, throw it in. Doesn't have to be pretty, we're just really trying to get the flavor out of this sage. Okay, we're gonna tear it in tiny little pieces just like that and throw it in. You can chop this if you want. I just find this to be easier. Now that we have the sage in, the apples are soft, the onions are soft, we're gonna add our bacon back in. Start to incorporate all these flavors together. Look at the color. The white and the green and the red, it looks beautiful. Now that we have all the ingredients in here, they're getting married, all those flavors are looking delicious, smells delicious. We're gonna finish our sauce. I have 1 cup of half and half. What we're doing, guys, we don't want to boil this because it could end up curdling, but we want just a little bit of bubbles going. We want it to get hot, and then we're going to add some Parmesan cheese to it. You can spread it equally through like this, about a cup total. That way it can incorporate a little easier. I'm going to turn that down just a little bit and let it thicken. Now that we've gotten this thickened, you want to make sure it coats that back of the spoon just like that. See how it's nice and thick? time to plate. We're gonna start our plating with the sauce because the pork chop has a beautiful color on the top. So we're gonna spoon a little bit of the sauce on there, making sure we get all the good bits. We'll take one of these beautiful pork chops, lay it on top, and then we're gonna place the Brussels sprouts on the outside. There you go, guys, delicious. It is our pork chop with bacon, apple, and sage cream sauce and charred Brussels sprouts. Remember, if you have any questions, comments, or testimonials, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to click subscribe. And the most important part is keep the faith, enjoy the food. God bless you guys. Love you. Hey, can we show this on a YouTube? I'm getting really good at it. Hey guys, one of the good things that Chef Cash White gets to do is this. Ready? Pretty awesome. Speaking of mouthful, stay tuned for more goodness right here at the Chef Cash Cooking Show. Chef Cash White. Sorry. Golly, you're an amateur.